What's up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new video. Scott McLeod here, Coach Scott McLeod, certified personal trainer. Welcome to Caffeine Conversations, episode 2, where we're going to be talking about how to get abs. How do you get abdominal muscles? How do you get your abs to show? How do you get a six-pack shredded for the beach, looking all good? How does that happen? Before we get into that, and we are going to talk about some other things, but before we get into that, I am recording this episode 2, before episode 1 even goes live. So you haven't even seen episode 1 yet at the time I'm recording this. And in episode 1, I asked for suggestions. I asked you all to leave comments down below. I do want to make Caffeine Conversations about you folks. I want to help you. I want to answer your questions. I want to delve deep into certain topics that you're interested in. So, if you did leave a comment, I'm not ignoring those comments. You just haven't even seen episode 1 yet, and I'm already recording episode 2, so I can't really, or I can't at all, put your comments into effect because those comments don't even exist yet. I know, it's a mind-blowing thing. The internet is a wild place. But if you haven't seen episode 1, and no one technically has at the time I'm recording this, but by the time this goes live, you certainly will have seen episode 1. And if you haven't, first off, what are you doing, bro? You need to go check out episode 1 and all of the rest of my videos. And while you're at it, you need to subscribe to the channel. But happy to make this for all of you. So leave comments, leave suggestions. And I guess I'm kind of rolling with Caffeine Conversations with Coach Scott McLeod. I love the alliteration. If you have any other suggestions for the title of this just chatting style video, please leave that comment down below as well. Today's caffeinated beverage of choice, good old trusty coffee. Possibly the GOAT of all caffeinated beverages. Anyways, how do we get abdominals? Let's start there. Abdominals in 2 weeks' time. 10 days to the most shredded six-pack of your life. 2 weeks to the best abs you could ever imagine. If you hear any of that garbage, that nonsense on the internet, and it is out there, believe me, you need to run away. Run for the hills, because that's just simply not true, and most likely someone's trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you a fat burner. They're trying to sell you a workout program for your abdominals. The truth is, and I'm going to be telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Shout out Coach Greg Doucette. If you don't know Coach Greg Doucette, go check him out. He spits absolute facts on the internet. He dispels a lot of those fitness myths. Maybe I'll link Coach Greg's channel down in the description box below, but he has that saying, telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. We all want to hear that there's a fast track for certain things. Maybe not all of us. Maybe some of us realize that that simply is not the case. It's too good to be true. We have that fair bit of skepticism. But when we see certain things, it piques our interest. When we see that very salesy marketing title, 2 weeks to the best abs of your life, be shredded around the clock in 2 weeks' time. I don't know why I keep saying 2 weeks, but that stuff piques our interest. It's very clicky. It's clickbait. But to tell you what you need to hear, it's not that fast. It's not that true. Yes, there are genetic variations, of course, out there. Some people are more genetically blessed, and they can get abdominals in a short period of time. I don't know if it's that 2 weeks that I keep throwing out, but the fact of the matter is, and the truth is, you need to remove the layer of fat that is covering your abdominals, or any amount of fat that's covering your abdominals. You need a reduction of body fat for your abdominals to pop. And even then, some folks don't have the best genetics for abdominals. Let's take myself as an example. I store a lot of my fat in my lower abdomen, my lower external obliques specifically, creeping into a little bit of the lower back there. But a lot of my fat is just stored genetically in my abdominal region. Even in my off season, which I'm currently in, I could have pretty vascular arms, shoulder veins running up my biceps. My arms remain relatively lean. I can see all three heads of my tricep, but at the same time, my abs aren't popping. I might have the top 2 or top 3 or 4 abdominals sticking out just a little bit, but definitely not a six-pack. And even when I am stage ready and I'm shredded, I don't even have the best genetics for abdominals. It is what it is. If you look out there at some folks on the internet and you look at different abdominals and six-packs and eight-packs or whatever, you do need the genetics to have perfectly symmetrical, deeply etched abdominals. It's just the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having asymmetrical abdominals or only having a few abdominals that stick out. They're not deeply etched. They're not perfectly symmetrical. There's not 6 of them. Believe me, I don't have the best abdominals. Even when I'm the most shredded that I've ever been, I think I only have about 4, maybe 5 abdominals that aren't lined up perfectly at all. They are not symmetrical whatsoever. I can get them there when I'm disgustingly lean, but it takes me a while to get there. And honestly, it gets me into a point where I start pushing that line of, is this sustainable? You have to figure out what's sustainable for you. For me, I can get a relatively decent looking abdominal image. I won't even call it a six-pack, an appearance of some abdominals without pushing that line of being uncomfortable. You know, I can be leaner than I am now and allow my abs to stick out a little bit more. But anything past that is really not sustainable for me. I'm hungry around the clock. I'm miserable. It impacts your hormone levels, your mood, your cognitive functioning. I'm just not as sharp. Maybe I'm more irritable. But anyways, if you want abdominals, you need to reduce your body fat. Now, that being said, you cannot also spot reduce. I, using me as that example again, cannot just simply spot reduce the fat that I accumulate around my midsection, around my abdominals, in that lower external oblique area. If I want to lose that fat, I need an overall reduction of all body fat. Same rules apply if you store fat in your quads, in your legs, if you store fat in your arms and you want to lose a little bit in your arms. I have also been asked that question. How do I lose this under here, under my tricep? It's a little soft, it's a little jiggly. How do I lose this? The answer is, and I don't make up the rules here, I'm just the messenger. I don't make the rules. The answer is a reduction of overall body fat because you can't spot reduce from that area. It is what it is. But you can get there. You can set small goals and start taking small steps towards getting there. But I want to caution you and be very careful when you see those clickbaity titles and you see those very salesy marketing titles that really some folks are just trying to sell you something. Now, going off of that, I do want to talk about energy balance. Calories in versus calories out. You've heard me say that a number of times on this channel. And if you haven't, you really need to subscribe. This is very important. The law of thermodynamics. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form to another. This applies to all life on Earth, all living things, all human beings. Living things are carbon-based. Carbon gives their living things its mass. If you expend or burn more calories than you consume, then you will be in an energy deficit, and you will have a reduction of body mass. If you are consuming more energy than you are expending or burning, you will be in an energy surplus. And that energy surplus, that caloric surplus, since that carbon is stored within the molecular bonds of carbon-based organic matter in living things, it's accompanied by an increase in body mass, an increase in weight. So this actually goes hand in hand with the chat about abdominals. If you want to reduce some body fat and body mass and try to get those abdominals to appear, you need to be in an energy deficit. You need to be in a caloric deficit, eating in a caloric deficit, or expending more calories than you are consuming. Move more, or eat less, or a combination of both. Find out what works for you. But it does need to overall be an energy deficit. It doesn't need to be a restriction of a certain macronutrient. You don't have to run for the hills away from all sources of carbohydrates. Oh no, how could you eat all that bread? Oh no, all that pasta. Yes, certain foods allow you to be in an energy surplus more so than other foods. There are better options to make in certain instances, but the point I'm trying to make is you don't have to run for the hills away from a certain macronutrient. You need to find out what works for you and your lifestyle. You have a tremendous amount of flexibility to find the diet that works for your unique lifestyle. You don't have to follow some completely restrictive fad diet that's just not sustainable for you. It's about making this a lifestyle, making this sustainable. You have that flexibility. Yes, you. You can determine and figure out what foods you like to eat more of and what foods you don't really find yourself eating. If that's the case, stick to that. Don't stray away from that. Don't make this hard on yourself. Small, simple steps. Let's go. You got this. All you have to do is reduce the amount of calories you're consuming if you want to lose some weight, if you want to lose some body fat, if you want those abdominals to start popping. And it doesn't have to be completely restrictive. Just cut down. Just cut down a little bit. Weigh yourself every day. Take the average of your daily weigh-ins at the end of the week and see, are you trending upward and down or downward? And where do you want to go from there? Do you want to trend further downward? Reduce your calories even more. If you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. I promise you that. No matter how screwed up you think your hormones are, you think your metabolism is, this rule applies to everyone. Hormone levels, metabolism don't matter. If you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. Maybe you're not tracking appropriately. Check out more of my videos, learn how to track. I do have a tracking 101 video, very helpful, but also my full day of eating videos. If you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. Reduce your calories even more. Yes, even more. Or move more. Or do a combination of both. Again, find a diet that works for your lifestyle as well. You don't have to be completely restrictive. Just reduce the amount of calories that you're consuming. And if you're not gaining weight, you need to eat more, bro. Trust me. I used to undereat, not fuel myself up appropriately, and it was completely eye-opening when I started tracking. Tracking wasn't onerous. It doesn't have to be onerous. It doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to get you all worked up. It, for me, is eye-opening. I realized that I was under-fueling myself. A good problem to have, yes, but your diet can make or break your physique. It's true. I wasn't fueling myself up appropriately. I wasn't gaining the amount of muscle that I thought I should have been gaining. I wasn't gaining weight. It was very hard for me to gain weight. I had to eat a lot more. So you get the point. Calories in versus calories out. The law of thermodynamics cannot be violated. Absolutely not. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form to another. And if you want abdominals, you need to lose some body fat. You can train your abdominals. I'm not saying don't train them. You can certainly train your abs, and exercise is great. Find exercise programs that work for you, that are sustainable for you, that you love to do. If you don't love to do it, it's not sustainable. You're going to stray away from it. You're going to lose sight of it. It's just going to slip through the cracks, and you're going to go back to your ordinary ways. You got to find something that works for you. For me personally, I don't really, other than a little bit, but I don't really train my abdominals. I focus on my compound lifts, my bench press, my squatting, my overhead press, my barbell bent over rows where you're keeping the core tight. My compound lifts are indirectly or directly, they're involving the core. My compound lifts, you're bracing the core. You're putting a load on your back when you're barbell back squatting, keeping that core tight. It's training the core. I do a little bit of core work outside of that, specifically exercises for strengthening the spine, the deep muscles that stabilize the spine, that create intra-abdominal pressure. So exercises like planks and like leg lifts laying down, or flutter kicks, whatever they're called. You lay down on your back, you raise your legs up and you statically hold them for a given period of time. I rotate between those leg lifts and planks, and I really focus on creating that intra-abdominal pressure, the drawing in maneuver, bringing your belly button to your spine and bracing. Really just good for spinal health. Those deep muscles that stabilize the spine in the lumbopelvic hip complex, otherwise known as the core. But that's all I really do. I focus on my compound lifts, train the core a little bit. If I want my abs to show, I eat in a calorie deficit. I get leaner, overall leaner. I don't spot reduce off my abs. I just get leaner. Or I move more, I implement more cardio while also cutting calories. Figure out what works for you. Again, I do want to make these interactive, so if you want me to talk about something else, please leave your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I drop at least one video a week every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'll see each and every one of you in the very next video.